What's up, everybody? I got a really exciting interview that I'm going to share with you today, where I'm going to interview someone I work really close with named Jason Simard. If you haven't heard of Jason before, he's an amazing dude who actually ended up selling 135 homes in his very first year in the real estate business, which I have never ever heard of anyone else doing. Now, today he actually spends his time running his Sims coaching program to help other agents achieve the same astronomical success that he's been able to achieve. And the best thing about Jason, him and I work really closely together these days. He's my sponsor at eXp Realty, and I partnered with him for some of the reasons you're going to learn about in this video. But he's fully out of production. He got out of production after 3.5 years. He's built a team of 15 people, and they now do over 400 transactions every single year. He's built his business on being a values-based person who's taken his team and allowed them to share in the growth and the success of what they've been able to create together. And I think that's a really important point. So in today's video, I'm going to ask Jason the 11 questions that Tim Ferriss asked some of the biggest and most successful business-minded leaders around the world. And these 11 questions are very well thought out, and they get really deep into the mind of people, of how they were successful and how they came to be who they are. So if you haven't picked up the book Tribe of Mentors, which is the book by Tim Ferriss, it's a great read, and it's where he interviews those business leaders with these exact same questions I'm going to ask Jason. So if you're a real estate agent out there, buckle your seatbelt, put your phone away, check out this interview. It's an amazing one, so I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everyone, one last thing. This is the first episode in a new series I'm doing called Shoulders of Giants, where I'm going to interview some of the best business leaders in their respective fields. If you'd like me to turn this into a podcast, I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts once you finish this video. So let's get into it. You probably know him by now, but he was one of the rare unicorns that was able to sell 135 homes in his first year. And now he kind of teaches people more or less how to do the same, right?
Yeah, it's my passion. So yeah. I'm actually fully out of production in our real estate business. I've got some amazing business partners that do a really world-class job of delivering value to our clients with our Sims real estate group. And then I've surrounded myself with some really just amazing people like Joe Moretti and Paige. On our coaching side, we've got Jamie, Joe Langdon, who are two of our inside sales agents in Sims Real Estate Group that are also our partners in the coaching company. And our focus is just to deliver like world-class value to the agent community to help them level up. So that's been a huge passion of mine. We made a big move 15 months ago. We were at a traditional real estate brokerage, and we were looking to be more entrepreneurial. And so we made the move to be early adopters to eXp during that time. That's been game changing. That's just opened up so many opportunities. I've been able to create a pension plan for all of our staff, which has been amazing. I've been able to bring benefits to the table and just ultimately build more profitability, which allows me to do much more creative things by creating more monthly incentives and just create more of a entrepreneurial culture within our company.
Yeah, and I've kind of joined you in that journey, haven't I? And watched you grow, and it's been awesome. So why don't we kick this off with the first question, which is, and I think I know what you're going to say to this one, but I want to hear you say it anyway. Sure. So question number one, that is, what is the book or books you've given most as a gift and why? Or what are 1 to 3 books that have greatly influenced your life?
All right. So the most influential book that's changed my life is The Go-Giver. It was recommended to me, I believe, 7-8 years ago. I read the book. I read it again when I got into real estate, and I literally built every single business with that Go-Giver philosophy in mind. It's by Bob Berg. If you're looking for the author of the book, it's easy read. It'll take you 2.5 hours, and amazing message in that book. It's just literally transformed everything I do. So that's number one. Number two, probably How to Win Friends and Influence People is a really good book that you should dust out of your book pile. If you don't have it, go and get it. Another really good one, and I know you asked me for just a couple, but I'm going to give you a third one. This is a really good one because it's right up there too, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a timeless book. It was written, I think, in the near just after or maybe during the Great Depression, but man, what a powerful book. Those messages, the information that's in that still resonates true today. So really powerful book. So those are my top 3, but definitely The Go-Giver is at the very top of the list for me. It's just special and dear to my heart.
That's amazing. I can actually vouch for all of those. How to Win Friends and Influence People changed my life. I think it's a timeless book. Think and Grow Rich. It kind of says it in the title, but it's all of those books have a similar theme to them, and I think they're all absolutely amazing. So right on. Okay, so this might be a little bit of a harder one, but question number 2, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in recent memory? Yeah. We love specifics.
Well, okay. Sorry, ladies, but Saks underwear for men has been game changing. It's the most comfortable male attire that you can have underneath your garment. So that's been huge. You feel a lot more comfortable. So I would say that. So gents, if you haven't tried Saks, they're amazing boxers. No, in serious, well, that has been a really influential purchase. I love them. Selfie stick has probably been one $100 or less purchase. Just having a selfie stick, you can document so many great things, you know, and if you're watching this right now and you're wondering, well, what can I do to throw content out on social media to start building more mind share and just like really engaging your audience, get a selfie stick and start being excited about your community, right? Be a tourist in your own town or city, right? The way you look at where you live and the way you showcase that says a lot about you. So it's actually really, really fun. And what you'll realize is like you have the same kind of routines and patterns that you get into when you live in a place. But when you start looking at it from a tourist perspective, you actually start exploring some areas that you wouldn't think of. And it challenges you to have a different mindset about where you live. So that's been a really cool purchase for me and just going around and capturing content.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when selfie sticks came out, we'd all kind of make fun of them, and now it's almost like a necessary tool. But I couldn't agree more. I think one of the most valuable things a realtor can do today is make a YouTube video about their community and establish value online and provide information. Because what happens, I think, is people will go on YouTube and they'll search, you know, what's Nanaimo like, and they'll find Jason's video about, because I think you just did one, didn't you?
Yeah, we've got lots of different videos that we've done over the years, but nice thing with videos, it's kind of timeless, right? I mean, ultimately it's permanent content that's going to be out there and you don't know who's going to see it. And I've learned this so many times now where, you know, you think that a video flops because it doesn't get a lot of engagement, but all of a sudden you talk to someone, they're like, yeah, you know what? The video that really got to me was, and they mentioned the video and you're like, oh, and you're sitting there like, man, well, it really hardly got any engagement. But, you know, ultimately content is king, and make sure it's valuable content that you can reuse. So a lot of people ask me, well, what's a great way to, you know, come up with drip campaigns? Well, how about some videos? Document some cool places. I mean, if I'm going to be potentially moving to your city and I'm not from there, do you think I would find value in having content that documents maybe some nature trails, some of your favorite restaurants, you know, some of the best things to do on a rainy day, some of the best, you know, lakes to swim at? Like, just be an advocate for your community and create content that's interesting. And I think you'll find that people actually really resonate well with it. And even for people that are from that community, sometimes, you know, just pointing out a new coffee shop or favorite place kind of like promotes people getting out there and really engaging in their community. So that's been something that's worked really, really well. So yeah, I know it sounds silly, but the selfie stick, if you can even invest in like the gimbal, you know, those, they can actually, they sell gimbals now, which will like stabilize your phone. And the cameras in phones nowadays is amazing, right? Like the quality is really, really good. So just having a gimbal and being able to use that, it'll stabilize your images and you can actually produce some really good content.
Yeah, and I think it's a great way to build rapport with business owners too. Do a little spot on their, you know, their coffee shop, their new coffee shop, build rapport there. Like a lot of people that don't, you know, live where, a lot of people that are relocating to where you are may not know anyone there. And if you're the first face they see on YouTube, they're going to trust you and probably go to you first.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's I think breaking the barrier, creating a path of lesser resistance to creating videos is a good way to actually start creating videos. And if you're always struggling with how do I hold this, where's my mic, that kind of stuff, you're just never going to make them. So I like that.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Okay, this is a bit of a more personal and deeper one. So this is question 3, everyone. How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for a later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Okay, well, here's the thing with failure. I don't even know that it's a real thing. I call them setbacks. we go through setbacks in life, but they're not failures. They're usually like moments that you get to a crossroad and you can make a decision. You can be a victim and you can blame circumstance, you can make excuses, you can blame everybody else, or you can point the finger at yourself and be like, look, there's a lesson I need to seek here, and I need to come back stronger from it. So for me, my rock bottom was right before getting into real estate. In my 20s, I was actually pretty successful for, middle class, upper middle class upbringing that I had, right? I was a bank manager at 22. A lot of people thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. I did that for 7 years. I was in the industry for 11 years and had some really good success in my 20s. And I'd built, a decent little net worth for myself, 6-figure net worth, owned some real estate. And unfortunately, I had a life event happen, which was a divorce. My marriage fell apart. And that was a tough place. I had 2 kids at the time. And I realized that I wasn't fulfilled and happy in the role that I was in as well as a bank manager. I'd show up and I'd have anxiety on Monday. And if you're going to work on Monday or you're going to your business and you feel anxious all the time and it doesn't go away, then usually it's something you need to look at and reevaluate. And I realized I had these golden handcuffs. I always believed that I was capable of something greater, but I got caught in being comfortable, if that makes sense. And I settled, I had children early. So, for me, being a strong provider was really important. But having gone through the divorce, I literally started in this industry with a negative net worth. I was like negative $80,000 in the hole just over 5 years ago, Eric. And it was the worst for me, one of the worst times in my life, because I always prided myself on being a really good provider. And the truth is, I didn't know how I was going to provide for my kids and my family. I had to figure it out. So I started working at another company, learned a lot about internet marketing, which was really valuable, and then decided that I would go out and build my own consulting company, helping realtors do exactly what we've done with our real estate practice before I was even a realtor. So that's kind of funny. I had theories. I'd studied this. I'd worked closely with top agents in North America. And I thought, man, if they can do it, I know I can do it. I really understand this stuff. And so I was forced to go down a path of starting my own real estate practice, and came up with a very simple and effective plan, executed on that plan, and the rest is history. I was able to, basically become a self-made millionaire in under 2 years through real estate. I mean, it literally changed my life. And this is a pretty real and raw topic, because I don't come from wealth. I come from a very middle-class upbringing. And, the level of wealth that I've been able to build in my life is not something that anybody that I know really does in my life that I've grown up with. So I had to seek out mentorship with people that were at higher levels, because the conversations I would have with a lot of people, they just didn't understand. But once I secured my family, Eric, what was really important to me was that I would help secure the lives of the people that work with me. My mission is, in the next 5 years, is everybody that's working with us will never have to worry about money. So I'm really obsessed with creating multiple streams of income to really give back to the people that were there and stood by me with the vision that we had early on, and jumped in feet first and made commitments and got behind me. And I'll never forget that. So that adversity at the time, when I was like literally didn't know how I was going to pay my bills, was the greatest thing that ever happened to me when I look back on it now, because it forced me to really like have a gut check moment and point the finger at myself and say, you're the only one that's going to get you out of this. Let's go. It's time. There's no more settling. There's no more playing it safe. It's go time. If you're going to get yourself out of this mess, it's going to be you and you only that does that. Now, obviously in collaboration with people, that was always my plan. I would elevate myself, but always bring people along for the journey. So that's.
Yeah. And I think, we've obviously worked closely together in the last little while, and I can definitely attest to that. I think, I see it in your day-to-day operations. When you are working with your team, you kind of, you collaborate with them on everything you do, your coaching, your real estate, everything. And you've brought them up, helped them level up to succeed like you have. And I think that's one of your bigger philosophies, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm all about elevating. It's so easy as humans to bring people down or to throw mud at people and be like, oh yeah, that person's this or that. Because it's easy to not point the finger at yourself, right? You don't need to take accountability then. But the truth is, if you want to be really successful in life, you always point the finger at yourself. And you know what? Some of my business partners, it frustrates them sometimes, right? They'll have a scenario that plays out. And I always say, what could you do differently next time? And they're like, oh, you never take my side. You're always taking this. No, it's not about taking sides. We can't control how other people behave and how they act. What we can control is our actions and how we respond to it, our processes and how we approach it. So I'm constantly trying to really create this culture where we point the finger at ourselves and we look to empower ourselves. Because if you point the finger at you, you can fix something. And for me, I always look back, okay, what could I have done different? So I have one thing that I can take away that will make me more effective next time. And I've really created that type of culture where I always challenge people to look inward first. And when you do that, you're empowered and you can actually make changes. It's the most freeing thing. How many people do you know in your life, Eric, that are just, they blame everybody. They're always making excuses. It's always somebody else's fault. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, they just kind of like are victims.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people in my life like that. And I think moving into my 30s, even my late 20s, a big part of kind of how I was able to be a lot more successful in the last few years was actually not surrounding myself with those people anymore. I made a very conscious decision, I think, I just turned 31, when I was about 27, 28, to actually not be very, very careful of who I surrounded myself with. And ever since I made that conscious decision, everything's changed, right? It's just, they say you're a product of the 5 people you surround yourself with most. And I think that's so true.
Yeah. Are you an energy taker or an energy taker, right? Like, seriously, think about that. Are you always draining other people and putting your shit on them, pardon my French, or are you uplifting people around you? Right. It's crazy. Like, for me coming into real estate, I had a 3rd kid on the way. I'm remarried, got an amazing wife that's been behind me right through she's been there for me with the lows, and she gets to be here with the highs. And I'm so grateful to have her in my life. But, I had a 3rd kid on the way, didn't know how I was going to pay my bills, but I knew that I had my mind. I knew that I had the desire, the drive. Like, I was willing to do whatever it took without compromising my values to be successful. And that's really important. Success doesn't mean you have to pull people down or step on people, right? You can uplift people around you, and that immediately uplifts you because, like you said, you are who you hang out with. When you surround yourself with positive people that are givers, that are looking to bring value into your life and that are looking to serve other people the same way you are, it's amazing. You can move mountains, and we've proven that. And that's been super humbling and very exciting. And it keeps me very motivated today, because the truth is, I don't necessarily need to work, Eric. I do it now because I purely love it. And I really want to make sure that I set up these people that have worked with me, that have been behind me. I want to make sure that they are set for life and they never have to worry about money. That doesn't mean they're all going to be millionaires, but in the next 5 years, they won't have to worry about making car payments, mortgage payments. They won't have to worry about what they're picking at the grocery store. They can go and eat what they want. And that's really, really important to me. And it fires me up like you wouldn't believe.
Totally, man. And I can see that in you. And that's why I decided to join you as an EXP expansion partner, is I see that you're a values-based person and you care about the people around you. And I've always gotten that vibe from you. And I think that's one of the ways you always try to connect with people, is on a values basis. And I think that's one of the ways we originally connected and still do. So
yeah,
I totally resonate with that.
Honored to work with you. You're a great guy. And again, we have those same common values. We're trying to bring value and lift people up, not pull them down, right? How can I help you be better? How can I make you walk away and have something tangible that'll improve your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. I got a question here, but I'm just going to say, guys, if you have any questions, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, drop them down in the comments, and we'll be able to get to those if you're watching live at the end of this. And if not, we'll be able to get to them at some point after. So let's move on to number 4 here. I love this question so much. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere in the world with absolutely anything on it, obviously metaphorically speaking, getting a message out to like millions or billions, what would it say and why? It could be a few words or an entire paragraph.
I keep it simple. So every time I build businesses, I always think about how can we provide more value than what we receive in payment. When I build real estate, when I built my real estate team, I'm like, how do I make sure that our agents get more value being a part of our system than they would on their own? How do I provide them more value than the splits I'm taking in payment? Right. And I always think that way. I'm constantly obsessed with how do we provide more value? See, when I came into real estate, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I'm going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm like, what's the highest standard when it comes to marketing properties? I want to set a higher bar. I want to be setting the standard. I never want to be the guy that's trying to compare myself to the next person. I want to be the guy that's trailblazing and setting the tone and the pace for things. And what happens when you're that person and you elevate the industry, you start watching other people lift their game up. And I love that. You know, I've watched people in my market, all of a sudden everybody's doing video and everybody's kind of doing a lot of the playbook stuff that we've done, which is amazing. And guess what? It's keeping us innovative. It's keeping us in the lab constantly thinking about how do we continue to set the bar and push it higher as an industry. It makes my skin crawl, Eric, when I hear agents say, oh, well, I don't need to do video and that. I can just get away with $125, professional photo shoot on a listing. And the way my brain thinks is like, look, I don't care if it's a $100,000 home or a $1.5 million home. You are going to get luxury standards in marketing every single time. That's our brand. That's our standard. And we will never compromise it. And it's been a really good key to our success. So never compromise, always provide more value than you're taking in payment. That would be plastered all over a billboard.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this a lot, but I know you've helped a lot of agents that are in theory your competition level up in your marketplace. And I think that that just comes down to like having an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset is like, I think competition is a good thing. If you look at it that way, we can, force each other, push each other to level up and we'll all get better. At the end of the day, there's plenty of business to go around. And I know that's a really important mindset that we share. So the answer would be provide more value than you take in payment.
Yep.
All right.
Simple one. And for everything you do.
And always that's from the Go Giver, by the way, FYI.
Yeah. But absolutely every single time when you're making a business decision, don't think, oh, how can I squeeze the most amount out of this person? Yeah. Right. If you're always taking from people and you're not giving, you might get away with it. You might be one of these people that can continually get away with that. But I can promise you, you're not going to build loyalty. You're not going to build long-term advocates. You're going to basically build a reputation for yourself for being a taker, and nobody wants to be around takers, right? When you make selfish, self-centered decisions on everything all the time, you miss out on a lot in life. So, biggest tip, if you want to build abundance and wealth for yourself, start serving people and give them more value than you'll ever receive in payment. Start helping people, even if there is no payment involved. Just be a giver and genuinely do it from your heart, like feel it, and amazing things will happen in your life. It's crazy. It's just like amazing.
I like that mindset about the $100,000 listing. I think that is a great opportunity to just do as much as you can, like market it like you have a $2 million listing, and people will notice that.
100%.
They'll notice that. That's a great way to get other new business. They'll be like, wow, you're probably not even going to make anything on this property. Like
things will, because people are going to see that that's your standard.
Exactly, yeah.
Other people that want to list their properties with you, you're going to have buyer opportunities. You're going to have leads that come your way. You're going to make an impact and a splash. Like agents are going to notice what you're doing. They'll be like, wow, this person's setting the standard. They're not settling for being average. And look, there's nothing, if you're happy, you have great relationships in your life, and you're in a place where you feel like, you know what, I'm content. I'm super happy for you, right? At the end of the day, success isn't about money. Truthfully, to me, it's the quality of the relationships in your life, and it's you being your authentic self. See, for me, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I love building businesses by uplifting other people and helping them benefit in that. That's who I am. I love that. That may not be you, and that's okay. Like success isn't going to be defined by how much money you have and how many toys and how flashy your life is, right? But just make sure that whatever you're doing is coming from authenticity, and it's like who you really, really are.
That's great. Yeah, authenticity is one of my core values, and I think there's a lot of inauthenticity in the world these days with social media and the curse of the influencer and all that. But I think being authentic is how you really stand out. Authenticity, if you're looking at it even in a business perspective, I think you should be authentic just for yourself because it's the way to do things. But authenticity also sells far more than perfection, I think, today.
100%.
So, okay, let's go on to question number 5, which is what is the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made? Could be an investment of money, of time, of energy, anything.
Okay, the best investment that I ever made, truthfully, was in myself. When I made the decision that I wasn't going to allow, sorry, the drunken monkey in my head, and that voice we all have. I call it the drunken monkey. It's a Matthew Ferry line, but it made sense to me. Some people call it a saboteur. It's just that voice that's constantly like, don't do that. You might fail. Oh, you might get laughed at. Oh, what if this person thinks that? What are your parents going to think? If you learn to tune that out and you learn to bet on yourself, if you can't bet on yourself, how are you going to get anywhere in your life? Like, you have to be willing to bet on yourself and know that when shit hits the fan, or you're at an opportunity where you're at a rock bottom, that you can get yourself out of it because you have the mindset, the fortitude, and you have the drive. So the best investment I did is when I decided to shatter those golden handcuffs, point the finger directly at myself, and realize I was where I was because of me. And the only person that was going to get me out of that was me. And I had to bet on myself. So that would be the first place. If you're not willing to go all in on yourself, then you need to do some work, some self-reflection, and really work on it. Start seeking out some new mentors in your life, people that maybe have accomplished some of the things that you want. And also start understanding too that you need to qualify the people in your life, right? I love my parents, right? But like, my dad has never built a business before, right? My dad's never done that. So I'm not going to go seek advice on how to run a business from my father. My dad's never built wealth of any status other than he bought a home, and that home appreciated over 25 years, right? So again, I'm not going to go to him for financial counsel and advice. My dad's super handy, right? He was a tree faller, so he knows how to cut trees, he can build houses, he can fix things. So I would go to him for that level of counsel. But I think sometimes people are too influenced by their family members, right? It's hard to not listen to your parents because, like, we're taught you should always listen to your parents. But as you get older, you have to qualify the people in your life and really understand, are they really qualified to give me a real opinion on what they're talking about? And then you'll start realizing that everybody has an opinion, just like everybody has a belly button. And it doesn't mean anything unless you can actually tangibly qualify them as an expert on what they've given you an opinion on. And when you start thinking like that, you'll start realizing, holy crap, I've listened and allowed a lot of people to influence me in my life that I shouldn't have. And when you stop worrying about what other people think and you become a leader, you have to have a thicker skin, but be a leader and do things that make sense. And again, come from a place of authenticity and a place of connecting still within your values. See, you couldn't give me $50 million, $1 billion to fuck over one of my business partners, one of my friends. It just wouldn't happen. It like literally would never happen. There wouldn't be any sum of money on the planet that would ever make me go outside of those values. Just wouldn't happen. So have that level of determination in your values and then just go for it. So bet on yourself.
That's amazing. Can we quote you on that one? Everyone's got an opinion, like they have a belly button. Jason
Simard. Yeah, everybody has a belly button, like they have, yeah, an opinion. Seriously, you can ask anybody about anything.
Yeah,
you have an opinion. There's no way that everybody's an expert on every topic in life, but you literally can ask 100 people an opinion on something, and they will come up and tell you what they think. But you have to be able to qualify them. Do they even have the expertise to give that opinion? Just because you've gone through 60 years of life does not qualify you as an expert on all subjects, right? Just because you went to law school doesn't mean that you know everything about the law, right? Now, I would rather take an opinion if it was a legal matter from somebody who's gone to law school than from my dad, who has a grade 9 education or a grade 8 education. You know what I mean? But I'd probably take advice on my dad on how to do some renovations around a home because I know I've seen what he can do with that and he has experience doing it. So hope that makes sense, but don't be influenced by other people's opinions. You know,
qualify your mentors.
Qualify your mentors and seriously, stop living your life for what other people think. Because honestly, who cares? And if you're going to become successful, you're going to have haters. It happens. But the reality of it is the people that actually know you and the people that work with you, how do they feel about you? What's the quality of those relationships? How about your friends, right? I have all the same friends that now as when I started in real estate, right? I didn't change my group of friends. Like, I love the people that I surround myself with, and they're normal people just like me. Like, I'm no better than anybody else. I've just been blessed and lucky to allow myself to go all in on something that I was passionate about that, you know, luckily for me, didn't have a glass ceiling. It didn't, you know, it wasn't just an hourly rate. See, if you work and you make $40 an hour, well, you're only going to make $40 for every hour that you work. And then you're going to realize there's only so many hours in a day. And what I love about our industry is the fact that we can go and write our own paycheck. But part of that too is you have to be motivated and driven to get up in the morning, and you have to have a greater purpose. And my greater purpose now is to secure the lives of the people that stood by me when I was able to secure my family. Now I need to give back to them and make sure that they get that in return. And it's a 5-year goal. And trust me, that will motivate the fuck out of you. Pardon my French. It'll drive you to get up in the morning and hustle and help bring value and make sure that you're making an impact in other people. So
yeah, that's awesome. On that note too, there's a book called The Courage to be Disliked, which I just got, but I haven't read. So I think about putting yourself out there, not being afraid of, other people's opinions to get in your way. Okay. Thanks for that. Let's move on to question 6, which is, I don't know if you'll have an answer for this one, but what is an unusual habit or absurd thing that you absolutely love?
Oh man, what's an unusual habit that I absolutely love?
We can come back to it.
Well, that's a good one. You stumped me on that one. Let me think about that. Come back to that one. Let me reflect on it for a minute.
Okay, no worries. Sonia says amazing book, that Courage to be Disliked too. So awesome.
Oh, cool.
I'm just about to start reading it. So, okay, let's move on to question 7. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Stop worrying about other people and what they think. Right? Start making decisions. Look, I'm a sensitive person. I care about people, right? I want to be.
He is a sensitive person. I've seen that.
I want to be liked. If you have a detractor or something like that, it kills me. I'm the type of person, I'll literally stay up at night and I will try to do anything I can to make that person happy. But at the end of the day, you got to realize in life that there's no way that you're going to be able to please 100% of people, because people are so complex and people have a lot of baggage and a lot of things that they go through. But not worrying about what other people think has been a big one for me. I think a good habit too is when I was in production in my real estate business, is really focusing before noon, making sure that I had 15 to 20 proactive real estate conversations, whether that was through phone, text, bomb videos, and emails. But like, I was very laser focused on taking action and doing things that were measurable, trackable, and something that I can influence. I can influence picking up the phone and following up and bringing value and sending messages and connecting with multiple people, and do it early. It's like going to the gym. Do it early in the morning. Don't wait till nighttime when you're tired, because you're always going to be able to find a reason why, I'll just do it tomorrow. Start doing it today, but create specific measurable plans that you can influence, control, and that you can measure and then fully influence. That's a really critical key to success. Is it's an action sport. At the end of the day, real estate, it's not rocket science. It's an action sport. You've got to be out there and making contacts and bringing value to people and really getting curious and asking the right questions. So probably give you
I think
those are key habits that I coach to.
Awesome. And I think to add to that, I think a lot of people's goals, they set their goals as like, I want to sell this many homes, or I want to make this much money. But like, that's not necessarily in your control per se. But what is in your control is how many phone calls you make every day, how many points of contacts you need to make before you stop making those phone calls, those actionable steps that you can actually control. Because every day you might not make as many sales as you want every month, but if you consistently make those points of contact, you know that eventually you'll get there.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree.
Awesome. So let's move on to number 8. Question number 8 is, what advice would you give a smart, driven college student about to enter the real world? What advice should they ignore on top of that?
Okay.
So let's put that in a real estate perspective. What advice would you give a smart, driven person just about to get their real estate license? And what advice should they ignore going into the world of real estate?
Okay, so eliminate the word realistic from your vocabulary. So forget that exists, because who the hell's, when people are like, oh, they say that's not realistic, who are they? I always wonder that question. Who are they? Like, is there like this secret group of council of people that say you can have abundance, but you can't? No. So stop seeking like, well, what's realistic? Stop seeking approval from people. Attach yourself to some really good mentors who have done what you want to do, and that will have a vested interest in making sure you're successful. So find good mentors, people that you can collaborate with, and then create a very tangible plan. And our business plan is always one page. I don't believe in a complicated business plan. keep it one page, keep it simple and actionable, right? And then once you have that, focus on action and the activities. You know, the whole Grant Cardone thing, the 10X model. I don't like Grant Cardone's values, the way he approaches things. I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of what he talks about with the massive levels of action because it makes sense, right? So taking huge levels of action that are greater than anybody else that you're competing with in real estate will get you success. But make sure you have the right mentorship around you and realize that you are going to make your sales. Where you hang your license is not going to make a single sale for you. If your business plan is hanging your license, for example, at a brokerage because they say, oh, well, we might be able to give you some floor calls, right? There may be some benefit to that, but the truth is they're basically teaching you to be a pigeon that sits there and waits for scraps, right? What we teach is we teach you how to be a hawk, where you're making things happen all the time and you eat when you're hungry. That's how you build abundance. You don't want to be the person that's just waiting around for opportunities. So don't allow yourself to be in a pigeon mentality. Always be a hawk, right? You're making things happen. And for people that have gone through university, they teach you how to study. But the reality of it is life is a lot different than a textbook in a classroom. Your emotional intelligence, your ability to build genuine relationships and connections is far more important in success in business and real estate than it is having perfect grades. You know, you get 95% on your real estate exam. Congratulations. I got 73%, right? That will have zero determining factor in our success as realtors. Zero. Nobody's going to be like, oh, hey, your real estate license, you got 95%. You're special. That's not how life works. So remember, it's about action and it's about how you treat people and connections. And I think that'll make a big, big difference. So stop being too within these boxes and parameters that society's put around you and be a leader. There's a reason why more A students work for C students than C students working for A students.
That's so true. I read a book called The Millionaire Fast Lane. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's a good one. I can't remember the guy's name, Marco or something, but it talks a lot about that. Is like the people who go get the PhDs work for the people who, you know, were C students but became entrepreneurs. They hire those people. So I think that's a good mentality to have. Okay, awesome. So that's some good advice for someone getting into real estate. Let's move on to question number 9, which is and this will go, you know, well in line with this, but what are some bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise? So real estate.
Man, there's a lot. Like seriously, okay. You'll hear this from veteran agents that have been at, say, national brokerages for 20, 25 years. I hear this. They're like, you got to be with Remax, or you got to be with Royal LePage, or you got to be with Coldwell Banker or Sutton, because, you know, you're going to get more business, because that's not true, right? Those people that have been there 20, 25 years, they probably have 20, 25 years of established referral networks within their brokerage system. But like for a brand new agent, you're not going to have that. And guess who's going to get those referrals at that big brokerage? It's going to be those high producing agents. But reality of it is, if you're smart and you build connections and relationships with all brokerages and all agents, you can build referral networks that are far greater than just brokerage to brokerage. You know, when I moved from Remax 14, 15 months ago and I brought our team over, we didn't even announce that we moved. And we actually did a full rebrand on our logo, and we just kept our head down and we just kept doing business. We stuck with our business plan. And you know what, Eric? We've had more referrals since we've been at EXP than we ever did at Remax. Weird, right? Like you would think, because they're a national known brokerage, that we would have more referrals. So statistically, we've actually had about a 30% increase in the amount of referrals since we've been at EXP. The second thing that I knew would be true, we actually get more sign calls directly to our office now than we did when we were at Remax, because we had to have the brokerage phone number on the sign. And then that would go to an office assistant who wasn't trained to handle those calls. And of course, there's hungry agents on floor duty that would get those. So we've actually seen an increase in the number of sign calls that we get directly, which has helped us sell more houses. We're selling more houses under this cloud-based brokerage model. People are like, oh yeah, that's a fad, that's a thing. I'm like, guys, it's the future. I did my research. Trust me, I looked at every real estate model closely. I could have bought a franchise. I could have invested in a different brokerage, and I chose to go to EXP after all of that due diligence because it was really simple. I'm like, this this model offers me a lot more as an entrepreneur, and it's more on trend with where the world's going. Real estate's so far behind in the brokerage model, it's ridiculous, right? Look at every other industry. Amazon is the largest company on the planet right now, Eric. Mm-hmm. Amazon is a cloud-based retail company, and they're the largest one. They have no bricks and mortar operations throughout the world. It's an online distribution channel. Netflix put Blockbuster, who had huge brand power. Everybody, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you knew Blockbuster, right? Like they were like the biggest national brand out there, and they went out of business. Why? Because they didn't invest in technology in the future. And I think agents are going to demand more, not less, as things go on. And when they start realizing that the reason brokerages exist is because agents choose to hang their licenses there, they'll realize that like having a true entrepreneurial model where you can benefit in the growth of the company, you can build passive income, which allows you to create pension plans for your people or your own family. And the fact that you can sell more houses without the limitations, it's amazing. So yeah, you're going to be told, oh, you got to go to a big national brand because they're more known. It's a bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry. Build your own brand. I was building my own brand when I was at Remax. They had their signs, and I apologize to anybody that's with Remax. I had a good time there, guys. Like, I'm not going to bash them. I have lots of friends and colleagues that I coach there, but I'm just telling you my truth as I see it, because I've seen it. I've done the experiment, and it's been like game changing, right? But what I would try to do is we'd have to have these signs that look exactly the same as everybody else. So I'd always be trying to create a topper or doing something to make us stand out, because I wanted to build our brand, because we own our brand. And when we made the switch last year, I actually ran it by all of our business partners at Sims Real Estate Group. And I said, look, you guys can make the decision. Here's the information. I had people present the information so that they could make a logical conclusion for themselves. And then I asked one question. I said, what's more important to you, our Sims brand that we built together or the Remax brand? And guess what? It was unanimous. They're like, to be honest with you, Jason, we don't care about the Remax brand. It's not ours. We don't even connect with it. We don't talk about it. It's our Sims brand that matters to us. And that's when I realized that the biggest scam that we are being sold is the fact that the reason you're successful is because of your brokerage, when you and I both know it's your hustle, your work ethic that's getting you successful.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more. And I'll ask you a feeder question, because I know this is something you talk about from time to time, to add to that. But I think something you said to me a lot, and what I've heard you say, is to not get caught up in the ego side of real estate.
Yeah. So think about this. Why has real estate gone to these trophies, right? You get these plaques and these, how many times have you seen a realtor post their award and their trophy on Facebook? And I caught myself doing it in my very first year. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel authentic. I'm like, why would consumers care about how many homes I sold per se? Wouldn't they want to know like the level of service that I provided and how elevated it was, and like how many of these people would actually want to go back and do business with us, and how many of them would refer their friends? Like, aren't those more important metrics? But see, what real estate did that was kind of smart, the brokerage industry did, franchisees did, is they created this trophy model where it's basically, let's all compete with one another. So we're not collaborating as much. We might be friendly, but we're really not collaborating that much. And let's chase these trophies and these awards. And it's really addicting when you get into that. You kind of like are like, at the end of the year, I remember my first year, I was like one sale that closed on the 31st, but they didn't track it. So it went into the next year, which made me, instead of getting Titan, I got Chairman's Club in my very first year. And I was like, all devastated. And really, at the end of the day, what did it matter? It didn't matter at all.
Don't you have to pay for those trophies?
I had to pay. So if I wanted the trophy, I had to pay $150 on the Remax store. And again, it's like, please, this is not an attack on Remax. I got some amazing people there. And there's some people that Remax model would make sense for, right? I'm not saying that everybody should go somewhere else. I'm just telling you my truth as I've seen it and experienced it. And a lot of those fear tactics that franchise owners will put on you is that, oh, your business is going to go down, or the senior agents that are at the office who haven't actually done both models are going to tell you, oh, that's a mistake. It's not, guys. You control your destiny. Build your own brand. I've never yet, Eric, and you tell me if you've ever seen this, I've never seen a consumer post on a Facebook forum or a social media forum, rave me a real estate brokerage when they're looking to buy or sell real estate. It's always rave me a realtor. Yeah. Every single time. I've never, ever in a million years seen that. Have you?
No, and they don't review the brokerage either. They review the agent every single time. And
Every time.
I think that side of ego is something I've encountered a lot. And like on your point on Remax, I will even say like they're definitely one of the better franchises. Like I was in a lot of offices and they definitely have some of their stuff together. And you're right, it probably does make sense for a lot of people. But the biggest thing I encounter with my coaching practice in marketing is people's default about marketing is, oh, I won a medallion award, or I sold this many homes. Look at me. Look what I did. And that's their default like marketing response, is to showcase, what they've accomplished. And those awards like feed that ego. And they're like, oh, look at all the awards and accomplishments I've won. And they'll list them all on their website very clearly. But it's like at the end of the day, people don't care about that. People want someone they know, like, and trust, right? And it's about building relationships and adding value and character and building a reputation, and not, the awards per se.
How many realtors have you gotten an email from, and like in their signature tag, it's like this long and they like list every accomplishment, like 2008, I was this, and 2009 was this. And my mom says I'm the best realtor ever. And it's like all their accomplishments. But really at the end of the day, what really matters is how you treat people. Are you bringing them more value than you're receiving in payment? Are you elevating people around you? Are you giving a world-class experience? And are you looking to evolve and get better and better? So again,
Totally.
I say this is my viewpoint. You might disagree with me, and that's totally okay. There's a reason why there's menus in a restaurant, right? Some people might order the steak, some people might order the chicken, and it's totally okay. But at the end of the day, we are all in the same industry. We're all colleagues, and I mastermind with people with all brokerages, right? And we look to elevate each other and help each other do more. And that's what we need to do. Let's stop chasing ego, and let's stop looking at each other as competitors and being worried about sharing our playbook, and let's collaborate and elevate ourselves in the industry, because that's how we're going to keep consumers seeing our value and wanting to use realtors into the future.
Totally. And like, I'm sure you see this all the time, like I do. I had someone come to me the other day saying, hey, Eric, I want to hire you or someone to run a marketing campaign for me. And they sent me a link to this post that they wanted to run that this other realtor made. And it was just like a self-promotion type post. She said, I just want to get myself out there. And I hear this all the time. I just want to get myself out there. I'm like, well, no one's going to work with you just because you made a post saying you're a realtor. It's like, I think you should take, and I advise them, like, take the mentality of go create some content and create some connections and relationships that add value to people's lives. And so that's what she's out doing now. I'm like, I think people's default is always to promote their success, but I love your mentality around, adding value first.
Yep, 100%. Always. That's how we built all of our businesses.
Awesome. Okay. Jeremy says this is gold. Thanks, Jeremy. In the last 5 years, question 10, I don't know why I put two fingers up, but whatever. In the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to, i.e. distractions, invitations, etc.? What new realizations and or approaches helped? Any other tips?
Yeah, great question. So I'll give credit actually to somebody who was a franchise owner at the Remax office that I was at, Graham Parker. I respected how he built his business. He had weekends off with his family, and he didn't work a lot of evenings. He still ran a successful practice. And I remember talking to him, and this was probably I'd finished 2 years in real estate. And at this point I'd transitioned. I was managing listings only, but like I was working weekends. I was meeting people on weekends and evenings. And I was neglecting my family. And I said, Graham, how do you do this? And he told me, he's like, well, I just tell them that I've got a commitment during those times, and then I offer a different solution. So here's a simple tip for you. So Eric, ask me if I can come and give you an evaluation this Saturday at 10 o'clock.
So I'm free this Saturday at 2. Could you come give me a home evaluation?
You know what, Eric, I would love to meet with you this Saturday at 2. Only challenge is I have a commitment already booked that day, but hey, I can actually sneak you in Friday, or I can see you Monday. Which day would be better for you?
Let's go with Monday.
Okay, Monday. Just offer an option.
Yeah.
And instead of like saying, oh, I'll meet you at 7:30, say, hey, is there a chance we can meet like around 4:30? Be creative. Utilize Zoom if you need to. I mean, we did a science experiment when COVID hit. We started doing more Zoom meetings with clients that we'd never had done before, and our conversion rate went up. Surprisingly, our conversion rate went up using more Zoom. Why? Because it's convenient. I don't have to drive across town. See, a reason why a lot of people don't stick to appointments sometimes is they get busy and then they realize they're running behind because it's going to take them half an hour to drive to where they're going, or 20 minutes. Whereas if you had it on Zoom, they could literally just click the link from anywhere and make the appointment. They could do it from the comfort of their home. There's people like me. I have 4 kids. You think I have time to drive around town? No, make things convenient and efficient. So this is like the next best thing to getting face-to-face. So I'm not saying don't get face-to-face. Obviously, if you can, there's great value there, but there's alternatives. And make commitments, make a decision. I don't work weekends in my practice anymore, right? I work really hard Monday to Friday. My wife and I have an agreement that I work really hard Monday to Friday, but I'm there to put the kids to bed and help out and have dinner with the family. And then I'll do work after they go to bed on the weekdays, but weekends I dedicate to my family. And it made a huge impact in my marriage. My marriage has improved. I have a better relationship with my kids because, the truth is a lot of people, when they're building their businesses, they lose sight of what's important to them, to their family, because they keep selling them, I'm doing this for them, I'm doing this for them. But the truth is they're going to grow up really damn fast. And I made the mistake of not spending as much time with them in those first 2-3 years building our real estate practice. And I have some regret around that, Eric, to be honest with you. But I had a plan and I had a vision of what I needed to do. And I'm grateful that I was able to make those adjustments so I can be in the position I am today.
That's awesome. So saying no to people manipulating your schedule and offering solutions.
Never put a hand in their face. It's all in how you approach it. You notice when we did that role play, I said, I'd love to see you this Saturday at 2:00. I've got a commitment that day. However, how does Friday look for you, or Monday? And I'll make it work. Give me some options that are available on those days. Right? It's about
I love it.
Schedule, but never put a hand in the face. Oh, I'm too busy, or I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. I would never say that to a client.
Because so many realtors get burnt out because they just say yes to everything. And at some point, that's not sustainable.
It's not. And you have to make decisions, like be deliberate in the type of practice that you want to run. Do you want to be, like that doctor that works 60, 70 hours a week, has an assistant that handles certain calls, but you're literally seeing patient after patient for a 30-year career? Or do you want to be maybe that entrepreneurial doctor that's like, look, I'm going to work 3 days a week. I'm going to hire other great doctors and surround myself with them and create a system where they can have balance too, and they can handle the practice and make a decision on how you want to do it. Do you want to be exchanging time for money forever? Or do you want to do that because you love doing it, but maybe limit the amount of hours you're putting towards that and then be able to create other things? So it's make a decision, but exchanging time for money forever is really draining. If you're going to be doing that and you have no exit strategy and no plan, which again, the majority of brokerages don't really offer you a plan. So you're going to have to go and do investments outside of real estate to create wealth for yourself. I'm just grateful that I have the option to build multiple streams of income within the system that I have right now. And that's why I'm there, because, to me, it doesn't matter what brokerage is on my signs, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love that. So just before we get into the last question, I want to read a couple comments. Thanks to everyone for your feedback. Chris says, thanks so much for the value here. It's totally priceless. Anna was saying, love the comment on how you control things in your life, like how many phone calls a day, your goals, all that kind of stuff. So thanks, guys. If you're watching live, throw hashtag live replay, hashtag replay. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. Now's a good time. If you're watching this live, we'll get to those in a minute. And if you're not, we'll get to them at some point after. So, okay, let's move on to number 10 or 11. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, very common in the real estate space, or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do? If helpful, what questions do you actually ask yourself in that time?
All right. So this is a really cool activity. Document what you've done this week, right? And then basically itemize exactly what you've done. And you're going to realize that you're spending probably a lot more time on busy work than actual income producing activities. So the number 1 and 2 activities that you should be doing in your real estate practice is, number 1, you should be constantly prospecting, right? Following up with your past clients, working your sphere of influence, making new contacts, lead generating, right? You should be doing that minimum 5 days a week consistently. And then if you're not on appointments with buyers and sellers, then you should be doing more of number 1. Everything else is busy work. And so an exercise you can do is take your gross annual income in your real estate practice, right? Minus your expenses. And then before taxes, figure out what you made, right? Before taxes. And then figure out how many hours roughly you're working per week. And you can figure out and determine your hourly rate. And then ask yourself, is this activity that I'm doing, am I meeting my hourly rate? Or is it a task that I could delegate to somebody else for, say, $20 an hour or less, right? And make decisions like that. My dad has a hard time understanding this because he's a blue collar middle class guy. I love the guy to death, right? but he's a pensioner. He probably makes $45,000 a year, right? So it's not a huge income. So for him, he has to be super handy and do a lot of things himself. He asked me, he's like, why don't you do your own landscaping? Well, I said, Dad, my return on my time, because the one finite resource that we all have is time, right? You can't make more of it up. We only have a finite resource there of time. So I told my dad, I said, every hour that I spend doing landscaping, A, it's not something I'm passionate about, but B, I'm actually losing money, because if I use that time, I could A, create memories with my kids, which to me has a higher return on time than anything, or I could focus that time in my businesses and generate more opportunities for other people, which allows me to create a higher return on time. So I hope does that make sense? Return on time.
So when you're feeling overwhelmed and unfocused, you go back, what I'm hearing is you go back to the fundamentals of what you're good at and making sure you're getting a return on your time.
Yeah, because a lot of people, what they're doing is they're trying to do tasks that they're not good at and they have zero passion for, and they're frustrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I'm not going to go and write blogs on my website or, you know, try and become an SEO master. Just doesn't make sense. It's not something I have any passion for, and it's not something I need to know. I know smart people like yourself that can run those things for me. And so I would rather pay somebody for that so that I can keep my time focused on a higher return on time activity, which for me is meeting with clients, putting training together for our people, and investing in the business. So that will help you guys realize that like a lot of the stuff that you're doing, you could delegate off. There's virtual assistants you can use. Maybe you can hire someone. You can find somebody else who has an assistant, maybe is looking to, shave off 5-10 hours a month so that they can bring their costs down. Get creative, but start delegating those tasks to people that are going to be passionate about it and will do a way better job than you would. Because truth is, you can only do 1 or 2 things really well in life. You know, I always think everybody has one superpower. Stay in your lane. If you spend 95% of your time in your business doing things you're really good at, you're going to be successful because you're going to be passionate about it, and that'll come through in the results that you're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's like the 80-20 rule. Most people get stuck in the busy work that doesn't actually pull their business forward. So, and that's something you did early on. If anyone doesn't know Jason's story, he took out a loan and hired an assistant before he sold a home. Isn't that right?
Crazy. That's crazy. I borrowed money off my brother-in-law, $53,000, which people are like, oh, that's why you're successful. No. I borrowed $53,000 so I could live and I can implement some things that I believed in. I paid him back in full in 4 months.
That's amazing.
I have been debt-free in our businesses since. So, and I paid him back a huge interest payment that year, $27,500 as a thank you for that. So I paid heavily for that, but I got resourceful, right? You can get resourceful. But for me, bringing leverage on early allowed me to stay in my lane, in my strengths, and do the income producing activities that have a much higher return on time.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got to everything. So let's call it there. How can everyone get in touch with you if they're interested in, the EXP opportunity or your coaching or anything like that? Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to level up in your business and you're wanting to build more wealth for your family, I'd love to talk to you about how we've used the EXP platform to do that. If you're looking for just coaching and mentorship, don't worry, we never have to talk about EXP. We can talk about how I can coach you in your practice right now and help you become more profitable. If you just want to pick my brain for a few minutes, I'm happy to do that. I mean, I love giving and giving back to the real estate community. And, for me, I'm very lucky and blessed to do something that I love and I have passion for. But, we can help on a multitude of levels. So, whether it be coaching, whether it be the EXP opportunity, because we provide coaching to our EXP partners for free, right? And they get tons of value, and we actually help them implement in their business and then help them build wealth. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But either way, Eric and I are givers. We're here to support people. We're here to help them level up. So if anything that we talked about today resonates with you and you're curious and you want to talk to us, we're happy to have a confidential discussion. And if you think what we talked about was hokey, then I appreciate your opinion too. At the end of the day, if you have something better to offer, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And we can have a confidential discussion about it too. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, there's more than one way to do things. And there's a menu in restaurants with options for a reason, because we all look at things differently. So I appreciate it.
All right, guys, that wraps up the interview for today. I hope you really enjoyed this. I'll say it again. If you want me to turn this into a podcast, leave a comment below. Say podcast. I'm considering it. And I want to interview some of the best minds in the business. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this content, smash that subscribe button and the little bell if you want to get notified when I put out more content just like this. Give this video a like if you liked it. Give it a dislike if you didn't. It helps me create better content for you guys at the end of the day. So thanks for watching. Check out some of this content up here if you want to keep watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.